You're tuned in to More Living with Jim Brogan, broadcast live from the Brogan Financial Studios at News Talk 98.7, where old-fashioned values, expert knowledge, and genuine understanding come together to give you the retirement straight talk you deserve. Jim's a former National Advisor of the Year recipient and a financial educator, and he's here today to talk about how you can live out the best years of your life. Jim and the Brogan Financial team have been helping retirees and pre-retirees across the Southeast for over 20 years in their pursuit of financial independence. You can reach them during the week at 865-862-6800. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn, because More Living with Jim Brogan starts now.
Welcome to More Living with Jim Brogan, where it's all about living the best years of your life your way. This is News Talk 98.7 WOKI. And you know, Knox County, we were for years and years and years really a hidden gem. But we've certainly seen explosive growth in the past decade due to a strong economy, a relatively low cost of living, laid-back lifestyle, and of course, beautiful outdoor scenery. We got great arts, we got great sports led by the University of Tennessee. We've just got so many great things in the area. Growth is a great thing. It brings jobs, it brings additional tax revenue. It certainly does have its challenges as well. What's the old expression? There's pain in progress. This morning, I'm very excited to welcome back Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. Mayor Jacobs has a front row seat, of course, to the changes and the challenges the county is going through. He's been a good friend of the show over the years, and I'm excited to have him on this time of year, right after they've been working on the budget and we've had high school graduation. Hello, Mayor Jacobs. Welcome back to More Living.
Hey, good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
How have you been? Things going well?
I'm doing well. Doing well. You?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to tonight with the College World Series.
Absolutely. The Balls are on a tremendous streak. Yeah.
I know I'm kind
of. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm on cloud nine with that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is an exciting time of year with the high school graduations. I know you attend a lot of high school graduations. My youngest daughter, just graduated high school as well, and she's going to Belmont University. Talk about the energy and the enthusiasm and the excitement of all these graduations, because to me it is an exciting time of the year, and you go to so many of them.
Yeah, it really is cool, and I try to remind the graduates that even though they're completing their K through 12, their high school experience, this isn't really the end of anything. It's the beginning of the next phase of their life, whatever that is. But it's really neat to see the kids and the different reactions. You know, some of the kids are just literally sprinting across the stage because they can't wait to get out there, and then others are savoring the moment and enjoying everything. So it really is neat to see all the different contrasting reactions to graduation among the graduates.
Well, it's also interesting as a parent, because I know when my first graduated, it was definitely a lot more emotional. And with the second one, you know, we're going to be empty nesters now. And I don't know, it just had a different feel to it, I guess. So I think parents deal with that, of course, as well. On Knox County schools, we'll get to the budget stuff, but, you know, Knoxville schools had almost a 90% graduation rate, and 100% of juniors took the ACT this past year. But Mayor, in 2021, a little less than 60% of students went on to college. And I know the current goal for the county is to have 70% of students graduating in 2024 attend college right after graduation. Is that a realistic expectation given the higher cost of education today?
Well, one thing you have to remember, Jim, is it's actually the college going rate or the post-secondary going rate. So it's not just four-year university. You make a tremendous point there. That's part of it, you know, but it's also encouraging kids, whether they're going to go to four-year university, trade school, community college, or enlist or become employed. In this case, you're not kind of the ones that are employed or enlisted. But nevertheless, it's encouraging young people to keep up with their learning and their schooling, because with the way the economy is going and just all the innovation that we're seeing, you're not going to be able to be successful most likely in the workforce by just stopping at high school. You're going to need at least some sort of certification in the technical field. So that's what that's really all about. And that is achievable, we believe. And we schools have made great strides. I love their new 865 Academy model. It seems to be very successful, and I think it's the way to go, and I think that'll be happening across the country with secondary education. But I do think that's an achievable goal.
Yeah, and you've got the START, the Skilled Trades Academy and Regional Training Center has been up and running for a few years now. Talk about the results of that career training program now that we're a few years into it.
Yeah, so actually that we just got that open earlier this year. The initiative has been going on for a while, but we had to acquire a building and renovate it and do all that sort of thing. But we've had a couple cohorts go through. Now, this is a 4-year program, so when I say go through, I should say start, not go through. And what it is it allows people that are already in the workforce, in the construction trades, to get their journeyman certification, which is a big deal. It's kind of like in your bachelor's degree for masonry, carpentry, or whatever. We're also working with the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, TCAT, as well as our schools to allow them to use it for whatever programming TCAT has. And in the case of our schools, so schools have gone to what they call an academy model. Basically, the different high schools, everybody offers the core curriculum, but then the different high schools specialize in electives. And what this allows young people to do is find out what career path they like, which one they don't like. But some of our schools still don't have the career and technical education aspect, things like the building trades. And we're hoping the START Center is a place where they can utilize that. And for the kids that are interested in that particular career, they can go there, at least part of the day.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the budget. So roughly $1.1 billion budget for the new fiscal year. It's a no-frills spending plan that covers essential county and school system needs and requests. Talk about some of the big needs that are being addressed in this year's budget.
Well, we pretty much always have a no-frills budget. We try to operate as lean as we possibly can to make sure that our taxpayers aren't footing more of a bill than they absolutely have to. Schools are always the biggest line item in the budget. This year they're at 65%, almost two-thirds of the entire budget. Yeah. And again, I've been, our school system does a great job, and we're seeing the results now with graduation rate, and hopefully our workforce becoming even more competitive in this innovative global economy. So you have schools, followed by the sheriff's office and public safety. We have debt service that we have to pay. And then, of course, you get into things like engineering and public works, which takes care of all the roads and contracts with whoever to build new roads, the library system, parks, the health department. One of the things that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but we have the Regional Forensic Center, which is basically where the medical examiner works, bodies are taken and all that sort of thing. They do a wonderful job. They've outgrown the space that they're in, only been there 7 years, but just like everything else in Knox County, it's really grown. So we have a new facility for them with some state funding that was just made available for us. So those are probably the biggest things that we have going on. And that's no different from any other year in Knox County.
Yeah, so the school system at roughly two-thirds of the budget, 65%. I know with the new budget, salary increases are being implemented to keep up with pay in the surrounding communities. Do you feel like these increases will help attract and continue to retain top teacher talent?
Well, we certainly hope so. One thing we have to remember about Knox County schools is we offer a lot of services, not we schools, offer a lot of services that the other area schools don't. We have a lot more, say, nurses, counselors, a lot more English as a second language personnel, those sort of things. So our system is inherently more expensive to run than some other places. Also, they've done a lot with special education and trying to up those offerings and those programs as well. So, again, when you compare our schools to the surrounding areas, it becomes difficult because it really is apples versus oranges. But obviously, our teachers work hard. The entire administration and all the staff work really hard. So we want to make sure that they're well compensated and have attractive wages so they stay with Knox County schools.
We're visiting this weekend with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. I know that You mentioned the no frills budget has been your approach ever since you've been in office, and the balanced budget, not really tax increases. I know that's a big thing for you. We're going to get to our first break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into some of these budget items. And I mentioned taxes. Will taxes go up? What about property taxes? I know that's always a big question. So we'll really dive into some of the road and infrastructure systems with all this growth. So stay with us as we're visiting with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. This is More Living with Jim Brogan right here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI.
Welcome back to News Talk 98.7's Brogan Financial Studios, where Jim Brogan is coming to you live with important news and advice to help you achieve your dream retirement. Get ready to learn and live. Here's your host, Jim Brogan.
Thank you for tuning in this weekend. This is More Living with News Talk 98.7 WOKI. I'm your host, Jim Brogan. We're visiting with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. It's always great to have him on, and we're talking about all the great things going on in Knox County. Got over $1 billion budget now, roughly $1.1 billion as the city continues to grow and expand and create opportunities. Mayor, the cost of everything, as we well know, has really escalated over the past few years. Now, I would think that means more sales tax revenue and all the other things that go with that. Do you anticipate we're going to be able to continue to pay for things with no tax increases?
Well, first of all, we have to look at the cause of inflation, Jim, and you know what that is. The federal government has printed and spent way too much money, and that does radiate down to state and the local governments. Unlike the Fed, we can't just print money to pay our bills. Shouldn't do that anyway. They should be doing that. And also, in some areas of the country, I believe that every year, there's a built-in increase in property tax to make it index to inflation. We don't do that in the state of Tennessee either. So when we think about like sales tax, we are seeing it's doing okay, but the problem is that while we'll get more money per item because things are more expensive, at some point the consumer is going to cut back on their discretionary spending because things have just gotten so outrageous. So we're concerned about that. We just keep running as lean as we possibly can. We've made it a priority not to raise taxes, and certainly don't want to do that. And we'll do everything we possibly can. If we have to, though, we need to point to the source, and the source is bad policy coming out of the federal government because of the inflationary pressures that local governments are facing, as well as households and individuals. But again, speaking of those households and individuals, this is the time when we want to leave as much money as we possibly can in their pockets so they can make ends meet. So we'll do everything that we possibly can not to raise property taxes, obviously.
Well, you mentioned, and I won't go too far down this avenue, Mayor. Obviously we have to have a balanced budget. As when I use the word no frills budget for this year's, you of course said, well, it's always a no frills budget. And I know you're committed to no tax increases as best you can. When you see what's going on at the federal level, you mentioned the government policy, printing money. A lot of that's Federal Reserve policy over the last 15 years. And then there's also this just in extraordinary deficit spending. What do you think when you see this type of ballooning federal debt?
It scares me to death. The dollar's coming under pressure because of all of this. The dollar as the world reserve currency is being chipped away at, and that's extraordinarily bad for America. And adversarial powers such as Russia and China are using a weakening dollar to strengthen their own position in the world. So it's very scary at every level, both domestically and internationally.
And under any measurement, the debt is at all-time highs. I mean, the best way to compare our debt is to look at it as compared to the size of our GDP, the size of our economy. We can't compare a $34 trillion number today with a number from the 1970s. But even under that comparison, it's higher than it was after World War II. But we won't go too far down that path, Mayor. Advance Knox.
Good, because it's a frightening place to be.
It is. And we have other guests that we also talk about that a good bit with, economists and things like that. Advanced
That's
Knox
right.
has worked on a responsible growth plan for the area, and you had quite a challenge to get everyone on board. Talk to us about some of the details of the plan.
Sure. What Advanced Knox is really a complete overhaul of our land use policies, and it is an amendment to our growth policy plan, which is the basis for everything else with our land use policies. One of the most important things that it does is something that we didn't talk about a whole lot, and it is the fiscally responsible or the better spending aspect of that plan, in that if we continue doing things like we're currently doing them, as far as the development patterns across the county, it's going to end up costing us a lot of money. If we do them with what we will now, with what was proposed in Advanced Knox, it'll end up saving us about $8 million a year in infrastructure costs between building new roads and maintaining those roads. So that's one of the reasons that it's so important, because, again, that's money that the taxpayers don't have to shell out. So I'm really happy about that. The whole goal was to address skyrocketing housing prices while at the same time preserving our open areas and our rural areas. And the way that you do that is counterintuitive, is you actually allow higher density in certain areas and different place types and different offerings of housing. And what that does, and that we're doing that in the areas where we have the infrastructure to support it, that's where that infrastructure savings cost comes from. But what this does is helps eliminate sprawl. We're trying to avoid, especially in East Knox County, what we've seen in Hardin Valley, which is urban sprawl. And the reason that happened was because of our land use policies, which were very antiquated when Hardin Valley is being developed.
Well, as far as growth here in Knox County, we're the second fastest, my understanding, mayors, we're the second fastest growing county in Tennessee, with an expected increase in over 80,000 more people just in Knox County moving here by 2045, so the next 21 years. Are we going to be able to keep up with that kind of growth?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it, but I think that we're going to be able to do that. And as you pointed out in the previous segment, Jim, the growth is not a bad thing, okay? When people are leaving your area because they don't want to stay there,
Exactly,
which is happening in parts of our country, that's a bad thing. When you're attracting them because you're a great place to live, that's a very good thing. At the same time, it is doing things like impacting housing prices, because you have people coming in from other parts of the area. Housing is a lot more expensive, so they have built-in equity in their homes. They can afford to buy or pay more and bid up the price of housing much more than we're used to in Knox County. I mean, for the first time ever last year, we exceeded the national average for the median price home. And as an area that prides ourselves on the low cost of living, that is something that we have to get under control. So there are certainly challenges, but we don't have the problems that other areas have. And a lot of what we have to do also has to do with workforce, not just infrastructure. It has to do with workforce, has to do with ensuring that the companies that are already here are not seeing their workforce cannibalized by new companies coming in and all that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but overall it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree completely. We're vibrant. It's economic growth. It does, as I mentioned, pain is progress. There's pain in progress. Let's talk about infrastructure, and especially road systems can certainly be a challenge when it comes to growth in the county. Talk about some road and infrastructure projects that we can expect in the near future.
Probably the ones that have the most impact is what the state is doing along the I-40/75 corridor. They announced that they're going to treat that as a comprehensive program, and they're going to look at replacing the way stations between Campbell Station and Watt Roads with the moving in motion electronic tolling, which should really help, as well as new interchanges at Watt Road, Campbell Station Road, again, which should help, and some other improvements along I-40/75. And also, they will be in the process, I think by the end of the year, I think they'll, don't quote me quite on that because I can't remember the exact time frame, but within the next year or so, let's put it that way, they should be starting construction on the interchange at Emory Road and 75, which is, I live in that area of town, and it's as bad as anything else that we see across the county. We're going to have a really exciting project that we're going to announced soon at Hardin Valley Road, which should help some of the congestion in the Hardin Valley Road, Pellissippi Parkway area. Continuing on Shad Road, which is the largest road project in the county's history. And then we've also put in some roundabouts, some left-hand turn lanes in some of our roads. Often we don't need the solution which costs millions and millions and millions of dollars and adds lanes and takes up more land and all that. We can do targeted things that really help traffic flow. So that's the things that we're doing for now, as opposed to, again, saying that we need to throw tons of money at new roads going everywhere through the county, figuring out ways that we can improve what we have. And then obviously looking at, okay, what do we do as far as, what do we need that's new? We're also able to increase our paving budget this year. Going back to inflation, that's becoming more of a challenge because asphalt, like everything else, has gone up in cost.
I know kind of your roots, you've got some libertarian roots. I don't want to miscategorize something, so correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason I bring that up is the I-75 bypass, which is not a hot topic right now. But are you for something like that being considered in the future or against it?
I think, we have to look at that because I think now everyone's thinking, gosh, that orange route was a great idea. Unfortunately, the orange route's no longer possible. And that's because all the land's been bought up. So you want to do things before land's bought and developed, and certainly don't want to use eminent domain as much as you possibly can. But, a lot of the issues that when you're talking about infrastructure, you're always going to be somewhat reactive because the market's much more powerful than government policies. So development, we can influence it, but sometimes it kind of happens where it happens. And that's what makes the infrastructure so difficult, is because no one has a crystal ball where they can say, oh, this is going to happen, and we have to have this in place by the time this happens. But we do have to understand that, it's not like traffic on I-40/75 is going to go down anytime in the near future. And, trends are showing it's going to go up. So we do have to consider, okay, what are the long-term solutions? And the more that we can do that and get ahead, the better that we'll be in the long term. And also, Jim, all this has an impact on economic development. If people can't travel smoothly, they're not going to come here. They're not going to pass through here, and that's not good for us.
That's absolutely right. I agree with all of that tremendously. We're visiting with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. When we come back, we'll talk about revitalization in downtown, in the Old City and Broadway area in South Knoxville, and continued development there. We'll also talk about some of the psychological and behavioral health issues that we're seeing in the city of Knoxville. So stay with us as we visit with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs right here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI.
Welcome back to News Talk 98.7's Brogan Financial Studios, where Jim Brogan is coming to you live with important news and advice to help you achieve your dream retirement. Get ready to learn and live. Here's your host, Jim Brogan.
Welcome back. This is More Living with Jim Brogan, where it's all about living the best years of your life your way. This is News Talk 98.7 WOKI. We're with you every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. and again from 3 to 4 p.m. Today we're visiting with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, and I am going to do a dollars and cents segment. I'm going to wait and do it in the last segment, but it is going to be very important. The retirement savings time bomb ticks louder and louder, and that's referring to the taxable buildup inside your retirement accounts. In that last segment, Mayor Jacobs and I talked very briefly about the federal budget issues and the deficit spending. What does that mean for our future income taxes and that taxable buildup inside your retirement savings? Mayor Jacobs, back to Knoxville, though. Revitalization around the Old City and the Broadway area and in South Knoxville has really brought lots of new business, renewed interest in those areas. Talk about how that's growing and what's making those areas so attractive.
Well, I think it just part of it is people moving here, obviously, and entrepreneurs doing what entrepreneurs do, opening businesses. Every community, community like Knox County anyway, it's a larger urban area in some parts of our county. We need a vibrant urban urban core, and that's what we have. Market Square is super cool place. The old city, lots of stuff to do downtown. Of course, the Vols athletics and everything that they're doing across the college sports spectrum is amazing. And what that does, that really just helps drive everything for the entire county. So really happy to see a lot of things happening downtown. The South Waterfront, South Knoxville, lots of really neat stuff happening there. And I think part of it, too, is Tennessee is a very business-friendly area. So we're just seeing the natural outcome and result from that. Of course, also, we have construction on the new downtown stadium, which is moving right along. They're right on schedule, should be playing baseball there next year. And what
that's very exciting, I think.
Yeah, and that's really helped revitalize the area around the stadium. Before the stadium went in, the city and the county total were collecting about $60,000 of property tax on that area. It produced no sales tax whatsoever. That will change when the stadium goes in, and it's also just having an impact all along that corridor and kind of acts like a link really between the old city and there, and should, again, radiate on out from that area. So lots of good stuff happening.
Well, I do know that I'm very excited about the Smoky Stadium. I really haven't gone out to Sevierville. I mean, I've been out there a few times to see games. But, be able to go downtown and the vibrant area down there and being able to make a night of it, I mean, I'm very excited about that. Speaking of sports in Knoxville, it is very hot right now. I mean, the Tennessee athletics program is probably on as good a footing as it's ever been on. Of course, the baseball team is in the championship series. The U.S. Olympic diving trials have been going on this weekend here at University of Tennessee. We got UT football right around the corner. People are excited about the new basketball coach for the Lady Vols. So there's lots of opportunities. I do want to ask you about your thoughts. The Board of Trustees has announced they want to extend Randy Boyd to 2030. The alignment, you talked about just a minute ago, Mayor Jacobs, when UT sports and the university's doing well, it's good for the entire community. Talk about the alignment starting at the top with Randy Boyd and what he's done for the University of Tennessee, and then of course it flows down through Chancellor Donde Plowman.
Yeah, I think Randy's done a tremendous job. Going back to UT Athletics, he hired Danny White, who's one of the best athletic directors in the country. Also got Josh Heupel, who is one of the best college football coaches in the country. So you're seeing that program take off. The basketball program strong under Coach Barnes. The baseball program might be the best in the country. They're just unbelievable.
If they get the national title, I think they're going to have to be called that. Yeah. If you look at their last 5 years, that's the only thing they don't have.
Yeah, it's amazing. Lady Vols basketball, looking at a change, but I think that they're making some progress, as well as some of the other sports, such as tennis and swimming, golf, and all those sort of things, track and field. One thing we shouldn't overlook when we're talking about sports is we just had the CrossFit qualifier here a few weeks ago, which is pretty amazing. But that alignment between all of our institutions, between city and county government, the University of Tennessee, the state's land-grant university, Tennessee Valley Authority, people out at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory and the DOD and DOE complexes out there, it's really important for our region. And through the years, there's been a lot of turf battles, and this is my area, stay out. I haven't seen that since I've been mayor. In fact, everybody's been more than willing to work together. They're really very collaborative and cooperative, and that's good for all of us in East Tennessee.
Yeah, and that to me is a big reason for some of the success and growth in the area, which of course includes what's going on at the university. It should be cooperative because it's good for everyone, right? We shouldn't be getting into turf battles. I know back in the past there have been issues. But we haven't seen that. You mentioned the baseball program. I do want to just mention, because it blows my mind. I mean, there for once Rod Delmonico left, who we knew, and we know his family. Once he left, it was so barren over there. I would watch College World Series and think, man, wouldn't it be great to have a baseball team that could just even make the NCAA tournament? And now look at where we are. 3 of the last 4 years in the World Series, 2 of the last 3 years, the overall number 1 seed. I mean, if they win it all, like you said, it'll be called the best program in the country over the last 5 years. Pretty amazing what Tony Vitello and all the support the administration's provided to him, including his assistant coaches. Yeah. You're known for being a fierce competitor, Mayor Jacobs. You recently faced a challenger some of us are familiar with, competitive eating champion, Joey Chestnut. Talk a little bit about that challenge and how did you fare?
Yeah, so I'm actually undefeated in amateur eating contests. I've been in a few, and I've always won. So I moved up to the pro ranks, put my unblemished record on the line, and it didn't go so well. Joey Chestnut and Major League Eating, they came to town to enjoy some Elm Hill Meats smoked bologna prepared by Dead End Barbecue. I like bologna. I love smoked bologna. I ate 2 pounds of smoked bologna in 8 minutes. I thought that was really good. That was my limit. Joey Chestnut ate 14 pounds of smoked bologna in 8 minutes. I'm looking over at the guy, and he looked like a human bologna wood chipper. It was amazing.
How do you do that? I mean, that's just insane.
I don't know. And the thing was, people are like, well, how's your stomach? I was like, my stomach was fine. It was my jaws literally got tired chewing that much.
Chewing the food. I hadn't even thought of that. I think because when you hear this stuff, you think about your stomach, but I hadn't even thought about the jaw.
Yeah.
You ate 2 pounds. I mean, I couldn't eat 2 pounds of bologna in 8 minutes.
I thought that was pretty good. And I looked over to my right, and I'm like, oh, forget about it, man. But it was a lot of fun, and it got 27 million worldwide impressions and views across social media platforms, media, and all that. It was Major League Eating's biggest first-time event, and should be back in Knoxville. And again, it's just something that's fun to do and to go out to see. And for me, it'll be once in a lifetime though, because I'm never going to do that again.
Well, I don't think I'd even do it once. I just don't think I could do it. I do want to pivot just a moment, Mayor Jacobs, before we end our interview today. I do want to pivot to mental health. And of course, overcrowding in jails is not a problem that's unique to Knox County. But of course, as we know, many people who end up in jail are experiencing either a mental health crisis or substance or addiction issues. The city of Knoxville's partnered with the McNabb Center to have behavioral health specialists available to the police department. So what kinds of solutions are there for Knox County when it comes to mental health equaling time behind bars?
Yeah, that's a great question. Across the country, I don't think it's any secret that we're seeing a lot of DAs who don't want to prosecute criminals, and that's contributing to higher crime rates across the country. We don't have that problem in Knox County. District Attorney General Sharp Allen's amazing. Our sheriff and police are also really great. But one of the issues is that essentially our criminal justice system has taken over mental health services. And whereas people used to go to wherever if they're having a mental health crisis, well, now what happens is the police are called and they often end up in jail, which is not good for them because they're not getting the services that they need, not good for the taxpayers because basically we're just wasting money, and not good for law enforcement. And it also eats up a lot of law enforcement resources, so where our officers aren't out there, doing the job that they need to do to keep our communities safe. So there are a number of positive things that have happened over the past several years. Of course, we have the BHUC in Knox County, which is the behavioral health unit, or it's the urgent care. And then basically we partnered with McNabb, the city and the state, and the city provided a building at the new public safety complex at the old St. Mary's campus off of Broadway, and there's a thing there called the Impasse Center now, which is basically the BHUC on a much larger scale and a little bit different as well, so to be more effective. And the idea there is that instead of people going to jail if they're in a mental health breakdown, if they're having some sort of behavioral health issue, they can go there and then from there get the help that they need. And I'm really, really, really excited about that. I want to thank everyone who helped with that. And then we also are starting a mental health court in Knox County. We have a successful recovery court system and also veterans courts. And these are alternatives to the traditional criminal justice system. Again, it's for people that have committed, a low-level crime due to whatever, their addiction issues, their mental health issues. Again, these are separate courts, but they kind of work the same. And these folks are under the judge's supervision, and that's the deal. If they don't basically follow through with what the judge deems that they do, including things like, drug tests and all that sort of stuff, they go to jail. But it gives them an opportunity to stay out of jail in a supervised environment. So I'm really excited about that. And the mental health, it's no secret, it's an issue across Knox County, across the state of Tennessee, across the country. Something that we're, it's a challenge, but at the same time, we have some good partners, and we're all working on this together.
Yeah, I think mental health is a real, I don't want to say a crisis, but it is a big issue that it'd be great to be able to get our arms around it more and more. And I like seeing what we're doing with the city of Knoxville partnering with the McNabb Center. Mayor, I guess this is what you're in year 6 now, right? As mayor?
I'll be finishing up my 6th year in September.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer this, but I have to ask it. When your mayoral term ends, do you see a future career in politics continuing at either the state or the national level?
I don't see myself going at the national level. I think that a lot more can be done at the state and local level. I think that the key to America's future really is to strengthen our states as much as we possibly can. Tennessee has become a beacon to the rest of the country that free market principles work, that conservatism works, and we just need to strengthen that going forward. Anytime that you think about what your future is, and I'm a lot like Mike Tyson in that every time I've had a plan, life has kind of punched me in the mouth, and my plan goes out the window, and I have to figure out something else to do. And I have a feeling this might be the same way. So I might have a future in politics, and there's things that I'm thinking about and looking at. But at this point, the future is a little murky. I really, Jim, I think that so much of this depends on what happens in November with the presidential election and the course the country takes. And until that kind of settles out, I think it's difficult for anyone to say what the future holds, especially in politics.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, Mayor Jacobs, you're always so generous with your time. And one thing, you're always, Mayor Jacobs is always very transparent and very open and conversational. It's always great to have you on to share with us the great things happening in Knox County. Thank you for your hard work. And again, thank you for coming on the program. It's always an honor and a privilege to hear you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate having me on. And everybody, please stay cool out there.
Absolutely. That's Knox Mayor Glenn Jacobs, always so generous with his time and a friend of the show. When we come back, we're going to have our dollars and cents segment, and I'm going to talk about the retirement savings time bomb. It's ticking louder and louder, and that's the taxable buildup inside your IRA and 401k, and it is a huge time bomb. So stay with us. This is More Living right here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI.
Is your insurance agent keeping up with your family's evolving needs? Are they tuned in to your business's requirements? Well, at Madison Insurance Group, your future is our focus. We cover it all: home, auto, business, life, health, and Medicare. Based right here in the mountains of East Tennessee and family-owned since 1976, we are now in 19 locations in 5 states and growing. But we will never outgrow the one simple truth and success principle we live by: your family, your business comes first. Why choose an independent agency like us? Because when insurance rates shift, we're on it. Don't settle for one-size-fits-all coverage when you can have personalized solutions. Ready to experience insurance that puts you first? Call today, 865-425-7300, or visit miginsgroup.com. Madison Insurance Group, protecting your future with a personal touch.
This has been a paid advertisement. Do you need a quote on a cabinet makeover, new windows, or a closet system, but you're scared of having your arm twisted by a pushy salesperson for 3 hours? I don't blame you. High-pressure sales pitches are the worst. I want you to know that at K&P Remodeling, we do not use aggressive sales tactics or pressure. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Instead, we send an experienced design consultant to your home. Your design consultant listens to your needs, goes over your options, and even shows you a design rendering of your project. And after they quote you a fair, firm price, guess what? They step back and let you decide how to proceed. No arm twisting, no sales tricks, no pricing games. That's the K&P promise. For a free design consultation on a cabinet makeover, closet system, or new windows, call K&P Remodeling at 865-730-4040 or visit kpknoxville.com. That's kpknoxville.com.
Talk is cheap, but supply always exceeds demand. News Talk 98.7 WOKI.
Welcome back to News Talk 98.7's Brogan Financial Studios, where Jim Brogan is coming to you live with important news and advice to help you achieve your dream retirement. Get ready to learn and live. Here's your host, Jim Brogan.
Thanks for tuning in this week to More Living here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI. What a great interview with Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. He's just always so open and transparent, as I mentioned. Great to hear his thoughts. Knox County, what a great place to be, the whole Knoxville and surrounding area. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was the cooperative nature of all the different organizations and leadership of various entities around Knoxville, the University of Tennessee, TVA, the business leaders. There are just so many great things going on. It is time now for Dollars and Cents.
Want to be sure you are getting the most out of your retirement? For all the years of your retirement? That's the primary goal of More Living with Jim Brogan and our Dollars and Cents segment, where we provide you with an important financial tip that will help positively impact the quality of your life in retirement. And now, here's Jim with this week's Dollars and Cents tip.
The retirement savings time bomb is ticking louder and louder. Are you ready for it? The retirement savings time bomb refers to that buildup of money inside your retirement accounts. And that would be everything except for Roth, of course, which comes out tax-free after you meet certain qualifications. So it's your 401k, your 403b, your IRA. There's a whole alphabet soup of plans that we have through work and then also through our self-directed IRAs, our SEP if we're self-employed, solo 401ks, all of those things. We've never paid the income tax on most, if not all, of that money, and eventually that income tax has to be paid. Well, as of June the 6th of this year, the total debt of the U.S. government, according to Investment News, was $34.67 trillion. It's up $2.6 trillion just from only a year ago. And when we look at the federal government spending, our net interest costs on the debt in 2023 was $658 billion. It's the largest amount ever spent on interest in the budget. And it reflects a 38% increase from 2022 to 2023, just in the net interest costs on the budget. Now, some of that is the increasing debt, and again, and some of that is the rising interest costs, right? The rising interest rates. Well, your retirement account is a ticking time bomb. Your money has not yet been taxed. It's tax deferred. It is not tax free. Taxes are going up at the end of next year without an act of Congress, and that doesn't even account for what may happen down the line, and this is getting to the point when you need the money most, which is in retirement. So we're building an even deeper hole in terms of our country's debt obligations, and the taxes on these retirement savings accounts are going to have to be paid eventually either by you or your heirs. So should savers think about paying those taxes now while tax rates are still at all-time lows? And that would mean opening up or converting to a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k or all those Roth options, which allows savers to continue after-tax dollars and withdraw them tax-free and also penalty-free after the age of 59 and a half, and as long as you've had the Roth for 5 years. So Roth IRAs do offer more opportunities, and there are more and more options for us to fund Roth. I mean, the government has created not just the Roth IRAs, now we've got Roth 401ks. We've even got instances where we can move money for a child from a 529 account to a Roth. We've got Roth SEP IRAs, Roth Simple IRAs, Roth Matching, Roth Catch-Up. Congress went Roth crazy. Now, why did they do that? Because they need the revenue. Because when you do Roth, you pay the tax now, as opposed to not paying it and deferring it way down the line. So they get the money up front. So let's take advantage of Congress's short-sightedness. So, and it's a bigger issue at death because the money has to be depleted within, best case scenario, within 10 years of your death. That money has to all come out and be taxed. Now, while I'm a big fan of Roth conversion, we do have to be careful with that because it does take money to pay the income taxes on a Roth conversion. If you're in a 22% or let's say 24% tax bracket, and you convert $50,000 from an IRA to a Roth, you're going to pay $12,000 of income taxes. And ideally, you'd pay that with outside funds and not have to take it out of the Roth that you just converted, because that kind of, it kind of work against you of why you would do that. But the bottom line is you need that money and your investment base is going down. So, we meet with some people in our office. They shouldn't do Roth conversion. They don't need to have that income tax hit up front because, you got to be really careful you don't hit your savings too hard in the first 10 years of retirement. But tax planning in today's world is so critically important.
That's our Dollars and Cents segment for this week. You can find this week's Dollars and Cents segment and others by visiting BroganFinancial.com.
Thanks for tuning in this week. We had Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. You can catch our podcasts on our website, BroganFinancial.com, or you can go to Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thank you for tuning in this week. We've discussed your community because a greater community provides for more living so you can live the best years of your life your way. Have a very blessed weekend.
The views expressed by Jim Brogan and his guests are not that of Cumulus Media. Any discussion of financial, legal, and tax planning strategies is not intended to be individualized advice and is general in nature. Always consult with your advisor for advice specific to your needs. This program's content does not represent a recommendation of any particular security, strategy, or investment by Jim Brogan or Brogan Financial Incorporated.